All right, I gotta ask because a lot of fans saw that Azeez Ojulari signed for 1 year, 4 million. Now that's relatively Christian and expensive, but I think what elevates that discussion is he ends up with the Eagles. So whenever a player like whenever a player ends up being evaluated by a GM like Howie Roseman, and he says, "Well, we can add that fit to add that player to this room." A Super Bowl caliber team that lost Josh Sweat in free agency, they say, well, even if he's not the best player, even if he's not the best against the run, even if he's one dimensional, even if he's a player that is injury prone, you were willing to do it for Marcus Davenport. Why not take a flyer on Azeez Ojulari? And I get it. I understand the sentiment, but clearly, many people said that, when they look at the film, it's not a scheme fit based on the Lions playing a 4-man front, what he could bring to the table. Not that best, not that great against the run. But, if you play devil's advocate and you say, well, okay, if you're Calvin Shepard and I said, hey, what's your pass rush philosophy? He's like, hey, it's just like anything. Sometimes teams get into mistakes by thinking that, hey, they got to do things my way. I'm going to look at the roster and see what we got and tailor a scheme. Well, in that sense, if you have a guy that's just good and does one thing, okay, maybe you say, all right, clearly on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, you're not going to have Azeez Ojulari out there trying to stuff the run. But maybe on 3rd down and 7, you need a play, 2nd and 3rd down, clearly a passing down. If a team takes a penalty on 1st down, they get stuffed. Clearly on pass rush downs, I think you have a player that could have had some level of impact. And if you have coaches that truly can really work with anyone, I don't see the harm in a $4.5, $5 million contract, even if you went up to 6 for 1 year prove it deal with some more incentives. I think that, maybe there was a competitive offer. We don't know. But when you look at it and you see that, hey, Azeez Ojulari went to the Eagles for not that much money. What do you make of it? Was it right for the Lions to pass on Azeez Ojulari, who went to the defending Super Bowl champs?
Yeah, I do. I just don't think he's a great fit for the Lions. I think that Ojulari certainly does have pass rush upside that would help the Lions. But I don't necessarily know if he's capable of being comfortable with his hand in the dirt and rushing from the edge as opposed to that outside linebacker role. And then the metrics of him as a run defender just weren't great. And I think that style of being a designated pass rush only type of player just doesn't work out. And I think that one example of that is James Houston, who was very good as a pass rusher, but couldn't figure it out, whether it was just more added dimensions to his game, with part of that being a run defender, and it just didn't end up working out. And so I'm not saying they're the same player, but I do think that there are elements of those two players' game that are similar. And I think for that reason that the Lions just didn't maybe see him as a fit. I know when I was going through it, I didn't really see him as somebody who was an ideal fit for the Lions. Obviously, he would have helped in the pass rush element of the game. But I just don't think that in terms of overall scheme fit, I just don't think it was there. And yes, it's going to be tough for him playing against him if they do so against the Eagles, whenever that may be. We don't have the schedule yet. But I think overall the Lions are fine missing out on Azeez Ojulari.